For at least 2,000 years, those who are posing as Jews, who Jesus was supposedly crucified for revealing them as the seed of the devil, the synagogue of Satan, were hated by virtually everyone, particularly the Europeans, the Caucasians. They were called Christ killers, denounced as liars and thieves. When Hitler set out to eliminate them in his final solution, they, the so-called Jews, posing as Abraham's seed, were friendless. No one came to their aid. The universal hope was that Hitler would succeed in making rid of them. America was foremost in this sentiment. During the war, America did absolutely nothing to deter Hitler from exterminating them. Even when ships arrived at her shores, bursting with Jews, refugees fleeing from Hitler's gas chambers, America turned them away, sending them bon voyage back into the lethal claws of the Nazis. For many, the only thing Hitler did wrong was not to finish the job. So, what happened? After thousands of years of fierce, unrelenting hatred, culminating in an aggressive attempt to utterly dispatch them out of existence and memory, what happened? Suddenly, they are the chosen of God, the holy people, the beautiful people, God's special people. In America, the Jews' shit suddenly became honey. The asses, honeypots. What happened? Elijah Muhammad happened. The truth happened. The truth that Jesus was crucified for finally broke through the darkness. What truth? The truth that they are not Abraham's seed, the children of promise. But in fact, we, the original people imprisoned in America, are Abraham's seed, the true children of promise. That narrative struck the powerful elites of America like a sudden stroke. That narrative could not be allowed to prosper. It was clarity. It was powerful. It was true. If that narrative was allowed to prosper, a nation of white devils persecuting, raping, murdering Abraham's seed / original blacks for 400 years, the apple of God's eye, to whom God would come and exact a terrible vengeance. Could you imagine the fallout, the confusion it would cause? That narrative had to be snuffed out, silenced, countered. So, suddenly, the Jews were not outcasts, but suddenly honored guests, family. They had to be exalted for the entire world to see. Even more so, divine and undeniable convincing signs had to be choreographed for all the world to see that the Jews are indeed God's chosen. The return home. They seized the Palestinians' land, the rightful owners, and set up Israel, proof of Abraham's promise of return. But as the scriptures reveal, it was set up by the king of Persia / America, not by God. Spectacular defeats of vastly superior surrounding armies, again with the assistance of America. Inexhaustible military, financial, and economic help and assistance from America, all to advance, promote, and sear into the minds of the world that the Jews are the real deal, kosher. All the while undermining, snuffing out any notion that blacks could possibly be anything but ungrateful savages. Ham, servants, the cursed seed of Noah, that the sympathetic whites rescued from the horrors of deep, dark, beast roaming Africa, saved from cannibals and the jaws of lions, tigers, and being crushed by irritant elephants. The Arabs, cast as the Egyptians who enslaved and persecuted the Jews, became the evil, the villains. So as the Jews became honey, the Arabs became the stinging, pestilent bees. The Middle East a beehive of buzzing bees with a honeypot right in the middle of it all. 60 years later, they have an entire generation of new devils having been breastfed that lying narrative now built into their DNA. A lie that their fathers didn't believe. A lie which has them on an express way to destruction, guided by their puppet master, Benjamin Netanyahu. Quote, they deceived the old world, end quote. Marvin Gaye asked, quote, what's going on? End quote. That's what's going on. That's why America is desperate to keep the lying narrative going, which is in fact bringing about America's downfall and destruction. Because the true narrative would be devastating, mind-shattering, unmanageable. America, a land of devils, oppressing Abraham's seed, the apple of God's eye, a God who is enraged and single-mindedly committed to America's utter destruction. That's what's going on. That's the real story. The West, Caucasian world, is about to explode. Explode within, explode without. The sword within, the sword without. Quote, and on that day we shall let some of them surge against others, and the trumpet will be blown. Then we shall gather them all together, and we shall bring forth hell exposed to view on that day before the disbelievers, whose eyes were under a cover from my reminder, and they could not bear to hear. End quote. Mr. Trump has lit the fuse. The timer is ticking. It's a very short fuse. America, Britain, Russia, and Europe casting thunderbolts at one another. Thunder, lightning, cities disintegrating in sudden intense heat. Fire and smoke, smoke and fire, fervent heat. Smoldering in sulfur and fumes. Vengeance in the hearts, vengeance on the tongues of their oppressed, the descendants of innocent blood-soaked dreams, dreams soaked in blood, rising suddenly in the oppressor's time of trouble, her time of need. Then the flood, America's Asian and Oriental, quote, friends, end quote, India, China, Daniel's leopard yellow / China with brown / India spots will overwhelm / flood the West, drowning them all, destroying them all. Mr. Trump is pushing hard against Iran. Daniel references a quote / agreement, end quote, that will fail, resulting in war. The agreement is the agreement made by Mr. Obama with Iran that Mr. Trump ripped to shreds. Now Mr. Trump, the king of the South, aka the Persian king, is pushing hard against the king of the North / Iran. Daniel is a coded / sealed book. There, Persia is disguised as America. Mr. Trump has been warned, do not attack Iran, Allah's she-camel. But they don't seem to be heeding the warning. Actually, Mr. Trump has disregarded / dismissed the warning altogether. Mr. Trump is already at war with Iran, with his weapons of commerce, which are in many respects more deadly than bombs and missiles. Cruel, deadly acts of war. Mr. Trump has a bitter surprise waiting for him. Iran will not demur, concede, acquiesce to Mr. Trump's threats, demands, saber rattling. Mr. Netanyahu, Mr. Trump's puppet master is urging Mr. Trump to a disastrous, fatal defeat at the hands of a strong, purposeful, well-prepared, well-armed, fired up, and extremely motivated Iran. This great battle is but days away, a battle that will shake the blacks out of their coma. The Torah is under a veil that can only be lifted by the Son of Man. The term Son of Man is a play on words. It is derived from Su-Oman, Su/son, O/of, Man/man. Suleiman is the son of David. Though David's son, he became greater than his father. Suleiman is said to be the wisest man who ever lived, a designation that makes him the wisest God that ever lived, as God is a man. David is he who defeated and killed Goliath. Goliath is false Israel. It doesn't take much study to understand that David is Farad, and Suleiman is the Son of Man, the Christ. The Torah, His stories, the gospel/angel, his parables cannot, I repeat, cannot be understood without the angel key. The Bible remains a mystery after 4,000 years in the case of the Torah and 2,000 years in the case of the gospels/angel. We are told definitively in Daniel and angel called Revelations that those books are sealed/veiled and will only be unsealed, unveiled, revealed in the last days, and then only by the Son of Man. Do pictures lie? Do your eyes and ears fool you? Here are the two liars, a liar and a fool liar together, calling Farad a liar as well as the messenger. Farad was just a psychologist. Elijah left special instructions and special knowledge with the fool liar, despite the fact that the messenger doing the theology of time was very clear that he never gave any secret or special knowledge to any minister more than he had given to all the believers. The last message that the messenger gave to the believers was from his hospital bed. Quote, study the lessons and remember the story, the biblical story of Joseph, who had a coat of many colors, end quote. I know because I was present at Temple number 2 when Minister Yusuf Shah communicated the message to the FOI/MGT. The messenger never said that Prophet Muhammad was without blemish. He, in fact, stated that Prophet Muhammad was wrong about his assertion that all children are born righteous. It's their parents that makes them devil, according to Prophet Muhammad. Quote, no, Prophet Muhammad, the messenger said, that is wrong. A snake is a snake, end quote. Reference, theology of time. The messenger never said there was any error in the lessons. The lessons state that, quote, he, the messenger, gave answers to the questions nearly correct, end quote. Not that the lessons were nearly correct and had to be corrected. As for the problem book, another of Wallace's myriad of lies, The book was not, quote, problematic, end quote. We were told that once we solved the problem book, we would have solved our problems. What liars? What liars?
On him, not that we follow this, but I'm giving this to show what perhaps influenced Mr. Farad. Or Master Farad. He was a master psychologist. He knew how to deal with people with problems and help them. Okay, so he, I said, looked at the Bible too to see what can he get from the Bible to help the people who are already in the Bible. We were in the Bible. We believed in the Bible in the church. And he found that Jesus said, it said of Jesus, pardon me, that he took mud and he put on the blind man's eye, and the blind man right away could see. Mud on his eyes. That's what God did. He put mud on our eyes.
No, I think
to keep us from seeing what we were seeing before.
Right.
And once the mud is washed off, we can see Islam, we can see the Quran, we can see Muhammad.
So there is no question that either through the myth or through the methodology, he was an important person. And no one will disagree.
The question. Look what God did. He treated all the people who would come in as Temple of Islam as students. And he said, what means and method? He asked the question. What means and methods must be used to solve our problems, to wake us? Well, he asked the question himself.
Plus, according to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, Master Farad Muhammad gave him 104 books to study. And Elijah Muhammad said to me, the best of those books was the Holy Quran. And the other 103 all contained aspects of the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The only picture we have of Farad Muhammad is his eyes looking into the Quran.
That's true.
So what was he teaching us? And lastly on that, I made a tape as a representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I taught something on the history of Jesus as he taught it. And when I came out to the house, he had my tape with red on the back of it. And he said to me, I don't want you teaching what I taught 40 years ago. I want you to teach the meaning of what I taught, because truth was hidden inside of that, but not necessarily that. Then he said, I'm sick and tired of my ministers quoting the Bible. He said the Quran is the root of Muhammad, so study the Quran. So to me, there was a man that was moving us in a direction, but he did not want, if I may humbly say this, the old world of Islam to interfere with our coming up.
I agree 100%.
And I asked myself, why didn't he want the old world of Islam to interfere with our coming up? Because from a humble heart, he taught us to love Islam.
Yeah.
To love our world of Islam.
Yeah.
To respect our world of Islam.
Yeah.
But he also knew that our world of Islam had deviated. And by our coming to the Prophet, who was without blemish, but yet we had to come to him through those who represented him. And they didn't always represent him properly. So by keeping us from the old world of Islam and rearing us in this way. When we would come to the prophet, we would come in a way that we would not allow the corruption of our world of Islam to influence our behavior.
That's right.
I agree. No one would have any disagreement with that.
You shared that with me before, too.
Yes.
This is the second time I'm hearing this from Minister Parker. He shared that with me before, and I appreciate it because I didn't hear my father say that, but I know he said it, and I really appreciate my father telling the ministers that he wanted them to not to stay in the Bible like they were. He wanted them to go to the Quran.
And lastly on this point, there's a picture of Master Farad Muhammad reading the Quran, Elijah Muhammad sitting in a chair, and Warifuddin Muhammad with his hand on his father's shoulder with the Quran in his hand. This is his assignment, to preach the Quran.
Yes.
This is our assignment, whether we follow the Imam or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to make the Quran our study. And the more we study the Quran, we will see what needs correction in what Master Farad Muhammad left with us. And to all of the Muslims who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, if you remember in the lessons that Elijah Muhammad answered these questions, and it said that these are very near correct. The question is, who will correct what was very near correct and make it fully correct without disavowing those that started us on this marvelous road toward Islam?
No, but I don't think it's a matter of disavowal, because I hear from Imam Marisdeen also that there is acknowledgement of the tremendous role that Master Farad Muhammad played in terms of bringing the Afro-American community towards Islam. So that's undeniable, uncontested. But what we were trying to sort of separate out was this whole idea, which is the very raison d'etre of Islam, that is unity of God, and if we have gotten the explanation from you that we were not dealing with Farad Muhammad as God on earth, then we are fine. We can go forward with this discussion too.
I'm a student of the Bible also.
Yes.
In fact, I began studying the Bible to find out how was I to preach Islam in America. I knew if I was going to preach Islam in America, I'd be preaching to Christians, and they knew the Bible, not what we were going to be giving them. So I should know also what they believe in. And all of the ministers of Elijah Muhammad were told to be acquainted with what they believe in. Then you know how to talk to them. So what I'm getting at is this. I know that Jesus Christ, according to the Bible, he didn't say, I am God.
Right.
Never said it.
He didn't even say, I'm the Son of God.
No.
He asked one of his disciples, Peter. He said, Peter, who do you say I am? And Peter said, who he was. And Mr. Farad asked Elijah Muhammad, who do you say? And he gave the answers, and the answers we have not from Mr. Farad about who is the God, they're from my father. And he says his answers were very near correct, as you said.
Yes.
And he said he gave us student enrollment, he gave us English lessons, he gave us history, he gave us problem book. Problem book. Why problem book? He's telling us what I'm giving you is problematic. It has problems in it. Yes. It has problems for your destiny, for where I want you to go, to Islam, real Islam. But these problems are going to make your mind work, make your brain work.
Yes.
So he planned for me to come to real Islam, and it worked.
So as we sum up this part of the discussion regarding the belief and the connections with the Ummah at large, are we then saying that we all here believe in one God and the finality of Prophet Muhammad, and that's where it ends, or
that's where it ends?
Or that's where it begins.
Further, Wallace was repeatedly cast out from the temple and the believers out on time for teaching the Quran or his misunderstanding of it. When cast out, he would publicly badmouth the messenger, calling him a liar, thief, false prophet, etc. When no one would listen to him, he would run back to the messenger, swearing his belief in Farad and his teachings, just to go back to teaching his lies, the same lies that the quote anointed end quote is teaching. At the time of the messenger's departure, Wallace was officially out on time, banned from any contact with any believer or even his believing relatives. Now he is pretending that what he was teaching was/is the correct teaching that the messenger and Farad wanted taught. Mr. Farrakhan is sitting right there next to him agreeing when he knows full well that Wallace is lying. But how can a liar call out another liar?
Yes, in fact, I never differed with him directly. I was told, he was told that someone heard me saying something different. Mm-hmm. So he called me to question me about it. And I told him that I could more readily believe that he was God than I could believe that his teacher was God, because his teacher was a white man and he said white people were devils. And also I told him that I understand something from your teacher that makes me believe that he said those things, but he also left enough evidence of his real intent, and that was to bring us to the correct idea of God in Islam.
Farrakhan doesn't believe Elijah's teachings about Farad, as his teacher Wallace never did. The messenger taught that the, quote, Caucasian white man is the devil, end quote, not white complexioned people. Liars. If the, quote, anointed, end quote, was appointed/anointed by the messenger to lead the NOI, as he claims, then who is to blame for its collapse? Yes, Farrakhan. The NOI didn't fall. It was destroyed by him. Elijah never did anoint him. Another of his lies. View theology of time. The messenger was asked during a Q&A about succession, and he stated clearly that it was not his authority to decide. Allah would decide. Farrakhan ran back to his devil daddy and begged him to let him get back up on the stage and shake his ass for him. But daddy was a little upset with his Lewis. He had been saying bad things about daddy. So rejected, broke, busted, he ran back to the NOI he had destroyed, surrounding himself with Wallace's followers, the Belialians, the demons/black complexion devils, the devil's seed. Together they plotted on how to dupe the steadfast followers of Elijah into supporting and following them. After all, 40 years with nothing to show for it, not a pot to piss in, just constant pleas/demands for money to support Farrakhan's celebrity. 40 years, nothing, nothing, nothing. That was Wallace's pitch. Quote, we ain't going nowhere. We don't have to build anything. The devils have already built everything, end quote. What do you get when you mix Wallace with L. Ron Hubbard? Hint, check out the weekly webcast, noi.org, and see. At least Wallace had the balls to take the messenger's name off his crap. But then Farrakhan doesn't have any balls, does he? In fact, he has more balls now than he had in the 70s when he went scurrying to Arizona, hiding from the real FY who were looking to remove the little bitty balls he may have had.
Yes, in fact, I never differed with him directly. I was told, he was told that someone heard me saying something different. Mm-hmm. So he called me to question me about it. And I told him that I could more readily believe that he was God than I could believe that his teacher was God, because his teacher was a white man, and he said white people were devils. And also I told him that I understand something from your teacher that makes me believe that he said those things, but he also left enough evidence of his real intent, and that was to bring us to the correct idea of God in Islam.
Elijah is instructed to preach to both the wheat and chaff. It will be the task of the Son of Man to separate the chaff from the wheat at harvest time. There will be a falling away first. The falling away result in one being taken away, one who was restraining the plotters. The one restraining the plotters is the messenger. The plotters are Wallace, Farrakhan, and company. The messenger, Elijah, is removed, taken out of the way. The son of perdition, the plotter, is revealed, who claims to be the anointed. He takes the messenger's seat. Fact is, he was never anointed by anyone but himself. The falling away / collapse follows, as Wallace loots the NOI with Farrakhan's assistance and their denunciation of the messenger and Farad. The name and mission of the NOI are discarded. They set up their own organization called the Belalians and trash the NOI flag. Farad is dismissed as a trickster, and Elijah is dismissed as a liar. Quote, whoever believes 100% in what Elijah taught is a fool, so says Farrakhan. Farrakhan flushed the name Farrakhan for another name. After trashing the NOI, the messenger and Farad, and with the assets of the NOI safely secured in Wallace's clutches, Farrakhan is tossed to the curb like a two-bit whore, which he was and is. Broken and fearing for his life, as the FOI were seeking him out to answer for his treachery, he flees to Arizona, to his devil daddies, begging, please, 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 daddy, let me up there on the stage. I'll shake my ass real good, real good. But the devil daddy is displeased with Lewis. He's been a bad boy, saying bad things about daddy. Rejected, busted, broke, he gets a visit from a lifeline to return to the NOI that he trashed, to milk, to live off those ignorant enough to listen to him. 40 years, and he ain't built a damn thing.
I'm a young God.
Farrakhan lifts himself up as the quote, Jesus, the Son of Man, the Christ, end quote, even stating in the temple publicly for all to see that he is a God. Note, temple, which is what Elijah called what the anointed now calls mosque, a ballless God that pisses and shits in a bag around his waist. He would do signs with the help of Satan, the Jews. His so-called Million-Man March could not have been accomplished without the support and blessings of Satan's priests, the Black Caucasians, the Christian reverends, bishops, preachers, etc. It was not an Islamic event. His message was to attack the believers for needing to atone, while encouraging them to be better servants/citizens of Satan, which was Wallace's message. Atone, atone, atone for what? Should the raped atone for being raped? Jonah rises up, returning from being restrained out to sea on an island for 3 years, and begins preaching to the Noi/Nineveh. He begins exposing Farrakhan for the liar, deceiver that he is. He reveals that Farrakhan is the chief demon. A demon is a black Caucasian, the seed of a devil implanted in the egg of a black female, having the appearance of the original with the nature of its devil father. The Noi is drying up. They, the demons, black-skinned devils, began screaming at him, quote, "Why are you interfering with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before God's appointed time?" The demons, the black-skinned Caucasians, those who are perishing, are anxious and upset. They are screaming to be left alone in their cave with the liar. They, the demons, black-skinned devils, began screaming at him, quote, "Why are you interfering with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torture us before God's appointed time?" Jonah, the Son of Man, has come to gather the chaff and the wheat. It is harvest time. The four winds are blowing, and America is at war. The demons, in fear, run to Jonah and to Farrakhan, not knowing what to do, as the darkness is intense. Jonah, the Son of Man, has gathered the chaff and wheat. All look to him, even Farrakhan and those still with him, along with all the demons. Decision time. Farrakhan and his followers, along with all the demons, want to stay with their devil daddies and to help their devil daddies to fight their daddy devil's enemies. Jonah rejects them and their ideas. Farrakhan leads his followers and all the demons to their devil daddies, the swine, and they will all run off a cliff to their destruction. Quote, "We ain't going nowhere." End quote. I guess they were right. Farrakhan, the son of Perdition, the chief demon, takes all the demons with him to their destruction. The chaff is separated and thrown into the fire. And the day when the hour comes, that day will they be separated one from the other. Moses/Elijah meets God/Farad. Elijah is sent before Pharaoh/America to demand the freedom of his people, the original people. Aaron/Farrakhan is appointed to be a helper to Elijah because of his speaking ability, just a helper to explain Elijah's message from Farad clearly. Elijah goes to meet Farad, leaving Aaron/Farrakhan behind for 40 years. Aaron/Farrakhan undermines Elijah's message, turning the people back to Egypt, golden calf, making the people a mockery before their enemies. Joshua or Yahshua, which is the Hebrew equivalent of Jesus. Jesus is the Greek word for Yahshua, Joshua. Isa is the Arabic equivalent of Jesus. Yahshua or Yahshua/Jesus means Messiah. Joshua or Yahshua/Jesus is a harsh/sharp critic of Aaron. He refuses to follow Farrakhan into golden calf Sunnism, Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard worship. Yahshua is the Hebrew equivalent of Jesus. Jesus is the Greek word for Yahshua. Isa is the Arabic equivalent of Jesus. Yahshua/Jesus means Messiah. Yahshua/Jesus is a harsh, sharp critic of Aaron. He refuses to follow Farrakhan into golden calf Sunnism, Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard worship. Time of unprecedented trouble. Elijah returns. A time of unprecedented trouble. Elijah returns. He separates those who adhere to and remain firm to his true message from those who have fallen under Farrakhan's spell of lies auditing Sunnism. Elijah then gives swords to all his followers and commands them to slay all of Farrakhan's followers. Elijah then turns all the believers/NOI over to Joshua/Jesus/Suleiman, who takes the original people from America, fighting and destroying everything in their path on their way to the promised land, the land of promise, the land of their father Abraham, the Middle East.
My daughter and I, well, we tend to see things differently.
But we both love smart news.
We trust it. Smart News has news from all sides.
And we still get the stories we want.
And she's definitely become more open-minded.
The devils are the Caucasians. Demons are the hybrid children of devils, Caucasians with black or original appearance. This is the meaning of the chaff/tares wheat parables, where an enemy, quote, sowed his seed, end quote, amongst the wheat. It took the wisdom of Suleiman to weed them out. Elijah was told not to separate them, but to cultivate them all together. In other words, preach to them both. It is also the meaning of the, quote, demons possessed man, end quote, who Jesus healed by casting out the demon, which once separated from the man ran back to the swine/Caucasian daddies, and they both ran off a cliff to their destruction. If the wheat and chaff parables don't mean what has been stated, then what do they mean? If they don't mean what they clearly state, that the seed of Abraham has been corrupted and that the corruption must be, will be, has to be rooted out and destroyed, then what do they mean? Was not the seed of our open, declared, certified enemy forced into our garden for 400 years? If these verses, parables, mean other than what is clearly obvious, then please explain what they do mean. The anointed cannot, will not confirm, will not support, will not address this issue, as it would expose him for who he really is. His father, by his own admission, is/was Portuguese. Think about it. They will not be regrafted in. If all the parables concerning chaff and wheat, demons and devils, the seed of Abraham versus the seed of devils don't clear your mind, then you must be a devil. Only devils will reject such clear verses, clear language, clear truth. They would of course deny it if they were to understand it, just as much as from Satan's perspective, God is evil. Evil is a relative term, which is defined in the eye of the beholder. It is crystal clear, no matter how much smoke the devils fan, that there is a distinction between seeds, Abraham's seed and the devil's seed. The devils with their black devils/demons are desperate to escape the consequence of 6,000 years of unbound, unrestrained evil. The seed of Abraham inherits the promise, not the blood. Those of the spirit/original, not those of the flesh, Caucasians. The nature of demons. They have the appearance of divinity, which is the appearance of original people, but the nature of devils. If the wheat and chaff parables don't mean what has been stated, then what do they mean? If they don't mean what they clearly state, the seed of Abraham has been corrupted, and that the corruption must be, will be, has to be rooted out and destroyed, then what do they mean? Was not the seed of our open, declared, certified enemy forced into our garden? If these verses, parables mean other than what is clearly obvious, then please explain what they do mean.